Hello Reddit. What happened at your school that shocks you to this day? District was too cheap to hire a real Spanish teacher, so they hired a long-term sub for my entire freshman year who didn't even speak the language. We just watched the complete run of SpongeBob with English subtitles for the year. Woke up and walked down the hall of my dorm to find someone had taken a shit in the water fountain. The caretaker/maintenance guy murdered 2 of the school kids and then burned their bodies. Although it happened after I left, it was still a bit of a shock to see my old village school plastered all over the main news for weeks on end. A friend of mine was 13 when she was groomed by a teacher when we just started high school. She would linger after the school day and meet him in his classroom where they would make out. It lasted about a year. He had his ML account open on his class computer one day when she was waiting for him, and she saw that he was MLing a handful of other girls at the school. She testified against him about 6 years later. He was never struck off. Taught at the school for a long time. Married one of the teachers from the same school who supported him during his court hearings. Mid-70s small town in Tennessee. Student brought her dad's KKK outfit to school. One of the coaches put it on and started chasing 2 black guys around the classroom. Jewish teacher found out and lost her mind. Outcome: no one is allowed to bring their dad's KKK outfit to school anymore. Otherwise, life goes on. We had a very well-liked Spanish teacher who was killed by his father while visiting his dying mother because he was gay. It was a huge story for our town. The entire week was filled with grief counselors and memorials. It was really crazy. A bunch of guys were playing basketball in the court outside. I don't know how to describe it cause English isn't my first language, but basically one of the guys was hanging on the thing where you shoot the ball and it broke. The guy hit his head on the ground. He died instantly. Thank God I didn't witness that, otherwise I would have been able to handle it. The cheerleaders were selling sweatshirts for a fundraiser. One of them asked a teacher if he wanted to buy one. Teacher looked her dead in the eye and said, "I'll give you $50 for the one you're wearing right now." Needless to say, that was his last day as a teacher. That was almost 25 years ago. I still can't comprehend how a grown-ass man could throw his career away in a single sentence like that. The principal called the entire school into an emergency assembly one morning to deliver news a student had died. Her friends were distraught. Everyone was all morbid and lost in thought that morning until the girl came to school and had no idea what was going on. I told this story before, but a kid in my brother's Catholic high school put a matchbook under my brother's belt at the base of his back and lit it on fire as a prank, I guess, causing a pretty severe burn. His coach saw it and assumed the worst, abuse, and had my parents called in. After they threatened my dad with child abuse, my brother finally told them what happened and they were going to expel the kid who did it. My dad went to bat for the kid and said it was a stupid mistake and that the right education would assure that this would never happen again. The kid got to stay in the school based only on what my dad said. 2 weeks after this, my brother got caught outside a school dance with a Bartles and James wine cooler and was going to be expelled. They called my dad in again and told them they were expelling my brother, and my dad flipped out. "I convinced you to keep the boy that set my son on fire in this school, and you are going to kick my son out for drinking a wine cooler. What the fuck is wrong with you?" My brother got to stay in school because my father was incredibly large and intimidating. And you know, it was bullshit. In 6th grade, a girl left the school crying and never came back. I didn't know what was happening at the time, but it turns out the girl had been pregnant and the 2 girls who knew, her friends, had told everyone about it. Now, this happened in Bhutan in the mid-2000s, so not everyone in grade 6 was 11 years old. This girl was 15 over 16 at the time. Her friends were the same age. I was 11, and I knew the girl. She would treat me like a younger brother, picking me up from home on her way to walk to school and dropping me off in the evening. This image of her using the hem of her tego, like a blazer for girls, to wipe her tears as she walked away is burned into my eyes. Every time I see the specific green shade of our school uniform, I think of her. She came from a poor family and I guess they made a little money through an informal bed and breakfast. The man who raped this little girl was a taxi driver Our English teacher knew she was pregnant, and the plan had been to have the girl deliver the baby during summer break discreetly, but the girl's friends could not keep their mouths shut. I never heard from her again. I've asked about her, and the only things I've heard in the last few years is that she eventually did go back to school. I get so angry thinking about this.